What is going on, everybody? As I said in a previous video, recently I have been feeling pretty terrible. I'm finally starting to get out on the other side of this sickness. And while I've been sick, I've been trying to watch all different kinds of movies and make time to fit in as much content as I can. The movie I'm talking about today is a film that I was relatively hesitant to watch because this is obviously based on a beloved property. And to be completely honest, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one of the most important movies to me, thinking about growing up and my exposure to film. The first time I watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I would say it changed my life, mostly from Gene Wilder's absolutely incredible performance. And I found myself as a young kid just being completely and totally enamored with Gene's performance and loving the playful cynicism that he has in his performance. He's a very likable and inviting person, and from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, this is this wonderful guy, and he's bringing these kids in and allowing them to compete in this contest with these golden tickets. And then when you get in there and you start to see him as a person, he's very mean-spirited, and he does a lot of mean-spirited things. And I loved that about his personality. And I loved that contrast in his personality. And I always thought that it made for such a unique viewing experience. So hearing about Wonka and the creation of the movie Wonka, I didn't know what to expect. I like the director of the film. He's worked on the Paddington movies. I like Timothée Chalamet, but I went into this with some skepticism. The movie I'm going to be discussing with you today is Wonka. Wonka is directed by Paul King. Willy Wonka, chock full of ideas and determined to change the world one delectable bite at a time, is proof that the best things in life begin with a dream. And if you're lucky enough to meet Willy Wonka, anything is possible. So as I said, I'm a huge fan of the original. Gene Wilder's performance is one of my favorite performances in all of film. I love the music in it. And I went into this with an open mind, and I was incredibly hopeful that it would capture some of the spirit of the original. And this movie is downright awful. I hated everything about it. Honestly, I have a couple of things that I'll say that I enjoyed with it, but I think overall, this to me is what people are talking about when they say, will movies be written by AI? This movie is like, let's take the things that we know about Willy Wonka and put as many one-liners and references to the original that we possibly can, while completely ignoring building great characters, creating an immersive storyline, bringing any new information about Willy Wonka that makes his character any more interesting, or creating new songs that we can grow to appreciate. And I'm going to break that all down today. So at the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Willy Wonka, and he comes to this town on this boat, and where he goes in this town is famous for chocolate. There's these buildings owned by the most famous chocolatiers in the entire world, and he wants to open a shop amidst all of their shops, and one of the names that you recognize there is Slugworth. He comes into the town square and brings all the people together. They try his chocolates, and all of the owners of those shops are immediately off-put by him. They say, no, we don't want him anywhere near our customers. He's going to take all of our business. And they essentially run him out of this area. Well, he finds this place to stay with Olivia Colman's character, who ends up swindling him and forcing him into servitude in order to have a place to live. Says that he's in debt like $10,000. Something absolutely absurd. And while he's at this place, he meets a young girl named Noodle, played by Calah Lane, who is also forced into this servitude and working there. And Willy Wonka talks to her one night. She has never tried chocolate before. She doesn't know anything about chocolate. And he lets her try the chocolate. And the two of them devise this plan to somehow manage to sell chocolate to the community. And the entire film is Willy Wonka working towards building his chocolate shop and providing chocolate for not only the wealthy, but also the lower class. So as I said, I absolutely despise this movie. I think this movie lacks everything that makes the original so wonderful. For starters, let's talk about the way this thing is shot. The cinematography is flat, flat, flat. Everything in this that's CGI that's supposed to be incorporated that makes this feel magical or otherworldly or exciting. The colors are so dull and muted. I kept thinking about the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and how vivid and bright everything is. And there's no computer generation. It's all hand-built sets. Everything looks so marvelous. And I know there's a lot of things in this movie that in order to incorporate them, you have to use CGI, but it just feels so stale and lame. Even like there's a scene with a giraffe at a zoo, and the CGI giraffe looks so fake and awful, and there's just no charm in it. It's devoid of anything exciting or fun. Performance-wise in this movie, I would say the standouts to me, Calah Lane that plays Noodle is probably the strongest part of the movie. Next to her performance, I would say the cameo performance or the minimal performance from Olivia Colman is really great. I enjoyed the cynicism of her character. Timothée Chalamet does fine with the performance element, but he is not Willy Wonka. He does not encapsulate the personality or charm or charisma that Gene Wilder has. He also can't sing. Every song that he sang in this movie fell so flat and was so bland. I kept thinking about the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and how every song in that movie is so distinct and memorable, and the lyricism is great. And in this, every song is so boring. Every single song just feels like, oh, well, we need something in this to talk about chocolate. So they have the repeating song where they try to find things that rhyme with chocolate. And it just is so grating and irritating. And there's nothing magical or exciting in the lyricism. You know, the thing I love about the original Willy Wonka, it makes you feel like a kid. It also scares you. It's disturbing in moments. But it takes you on an adventure, and it's an adventure that's exciting. This movie, there's nothing exciting or suspenseful or interesting. They try to give Willy Wonka a traumatic backstory with his mom, and that's virtually like the only insight into his character that you get. We jump from plot line to plot line to plot line. And the movie really, like, even trying to describe the base level plot of this film, the baseline reoccurring plot is so bland and uninteresting that you just kind of lose patience after the first hour. And I was just like, when is this gonna end? Like, it just felt like it was the same recycled garbage over and over again. Like we would get a song, and then it would be someone runs Willy Wonka out of the city, and then it's like, oh, we find a place to set up again. Oh, he gets run out again. And it's just, I feel like if you're gonna do an origin for Willy Wonka, then tell his story or give us something interesting about his character. Instead, we get more into Noodle and her character and finding out who she is, which the actress did fine, and that plot arc was okay, I guess, but that ended up diving a little bit into the forced sentimentality region where it's like, well, we've got to have the audience care emotionally about something, and we haven't really given you a whole lot about Willy Wonka to make you care all that much. And yeah, that was disappointing as well. I thought Hugh Grant's performance as the main Oompa Loompa was terrible. He seemed bored and like he didn't even want to be there. I just hated every second he was on screen. Hugh Grant has become kind of an insufferable human being over the years, and I just kind of get tired of seeing him in movies. He's really not all that interesting. And yeah, I just did not like this movie at all. I feel like it fell short in every single department. There was no charm, there was no whimsy, there was nothing to really keep me attached to this movie, and I will rewatch the original over and over and over again, and I'll never watch this movie again. So have you seen Wonka? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below, let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was abysmal. I hated every second of it. I really don't have a lot of positives to say. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.